All right. Good evening. My name's Bob Connors, and it is now 7:01 p.m. and I'd like to call the June 6th meeting of the Newbury Conservation Commission to order. Sam, can you read the remote open meeting law preamble? Take a roll call of the members present.
All right, as a preliminary matter, my name is Smith Holt, Town Staff Conservation Agent for the Newbury Conservation Commission. Permit me to confirm that all members are present and can hear me. Conservation Commission members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Bob Connors,
Yes.
Brad Duffin,
Yes.
Diane O'Brien.
Yes.
We do not have Mary yet. Peter Pecos
Yes.
and TJ Conti.
Yes.
All right, good evening. This June 6th, 2023 open meeting of the Newbury Conservation Commission is being conducted remotely consistent with the act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency, which extends the governor's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law until March 31st, 2025. This order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location and allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with deliberations of the meeting. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that attendees are participating by video and/or telephone conference, and the recording will be available on the Newbury Access YouTube channel. Meeting materials were provided to the commission members prior to the meeting for review and were posted on the Conservation Commission webpage for public access. Before we turn to the first item on the agenda, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. The chair will introduce each speaker on the agenda. Proponents will be given 10 minutes to present. More time may be allowed at the discretion of the chair. After they conclude their remarks, we will go down the list of commission members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, for all attendees except commission members and staff, please remember to mute your computer using the mute button or your phone using *6 to toggle mute and unmute when you are not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. Please be aware that video participants can't see you and that you should take care not to screen share your computer unless you have been allowed to do so. Anything you broadcast may be captured by the recording. For any responses, please wait until the floor is yielded to you and state your name before speaking. If commission members wish to engage in discussion with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself when you wish to speak. There will be an opportunity for public comment and questions during public hearings. After commission members have spoken, we will afford the public an opportunity to comment and/or ask questions as follows. I will see questions and comments at the appropriate time through the Zoom raised hand function. For video conference participants, to raise your hand, hover over the bottom of the Zoom window below the photo gallery and click on the yellow hand that appears. If you don't see a yellow hand, click on the participants button. A list of participants will open and display on the right. At the bottom of this participant area, you will see an option to click on the raised hand function. Please ensure your name is fully and correctly displayed on the participant list. You may rename yourself by using the more function next to your name. For telephone participants, to raise your hand in a Zoom meeting, hit *9 on your phone's keypad. We will then allow questions and comments from members of the public who have raised their hands in the order in which they appear listed on my screen. Based on when the function was selected, each participant will be called upon to provide his or her name and address or affiliation and will be afforded 3 minutes to make comments. More time may be allowed at the discretion of the chair. The proponent or commission members will have the opportunity to reply as needed. Your hand will be lowered when you have been given the floor for your questions. We will then continue down the list of those in the raised hand column and again afford time for responses as needed. All participants are reminded that only matters which fall into the jurisdiction of the Conservation Commission may be discussed. The chat feature has been disabled for this meeting, and everyone is expected to conduct themselves in the same manner they would in an in-person meeting. Disruptions that impede operations of this commission will be addressed once by the chair and should be acknowledged by the disruptor. Further disruptions may result in complete removal from the meeting with no readmittance. Vulgar or obscene actions or comments will result in immediate removal from the meeting with no readmittance. And finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by a roll call vote.
Okay, thank you, Sam. All right, team, upcoming, let me see here, upcoming meeting dates. June 20th and July 18th. A reminder, new meeting start time at 6 p.m. beginning July 1st. So our July 18th meeting will be the test drive for 6 o'clock start time. All right, minutes. We have meeting minute review for May 16th, 2023. Why don't we take a moment and take a look at those, and I'll see if we have any comments, concerns, or corrections. Okay, are there any comments, concerns, or corrections to the draft minutes as presented?
No.
Okay, hearing no questions from the members, is there a motion to approve the May 16th minutes as written?
So moved.
Second. Do we have a? Okay, okay, roll call vote. All in favor, say aye. Peter,
Yes.
Brad,
Aye.
TJ,
Aye.
Diane?
Yep.
And Bob Connors votes yes. All right, next order of business, request for determination of applicability.
Get a compliance.
Oh, it is, okay, is that a certificate of compliance?
Yeah, for 53 Plum Island Turnpike.
No, I'm looking at, oh, okay, I'm sorry, I skipped that altogether. Sorry about that. I went right to 49. Okay, DEP file number 506880, 53 Plum Island Turnpike for work to construct the second floor on the existing structure. Okay, Sam, can you give us a project overview and a recommendation on this one?
All right, so this is yet another one that we have absolutely no records for. We seem to be getting more and more of these lately. So this one, based on the information in the order of conditions, which is pretty slim, unfortunately, as well as some historic imagery and the building permit files. It appeared to have been for work to construct a second floor on the existing structure. It looks like the whole structure was essentially rebuilt or renovated. And it appears, based off of the information that I had, that I was able to find, it does appear that everything was done in compliance and everything looks good on site. So my recommendation would be for a complete certificate.
Okay, is the property owner present for questions if we have any?
He is.
Okay, all right, why don't we go around and ask the members, are there any questions on this one? Pete, any questions? At this
No
time?
questions.
Brad, any questions?
None at this time, Mr. Chair.
TJ, any questions?
Nope.
Diane, any questions?
No.
Okay, I have no questions. So do we have a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for 53 Plum Island Turnpike?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Second.
Okay. Okay, all those in favor, say aye. TJ,
Aye.
Pete,
Yes.
Brad,
Aye.
Diane,
Yes.
and Bob Connors votes yes. Okay, Sam, do you need anything else on that one?
I do not.
Okay, now we'll move on to 49 Northern Boulevard. It's our file number 423. For work to remove a portion of deck encroaching on abutting property and relocate within the property boundary. Sam, can you give us a recap on this?
Yes, so this one, there is a existing deck that's been there for a long time. It is encroaching on the abutting property behind it by a few feet. So the current owner is looking to remove that encroachment and basically move that part of the deck to the other side of the house and essentially extend that a little bit to create a second means of egress that is going to be lost from removing the encroachment. And it's going to involve need to put some additional footings down to support the new portion of the deck. The overall footprint of the deck is actually going to shrink a little bit compared to what it's at now.
Do you have a recommendation on this one, Sam?
I do. My recommendation would be a -2, I think, determination. Pretty sure
Okay.
that's the number. And we
All
have
right.
Tom Hughes as the representative and Tom Ryan is the current owner, both here.
Okay. Good evening, Tom. If you could give us your best 10 minutes on this one or less.
I'll go for less.
Okay,
All right.
good job, Tom.
Good evening, Mr. Chair. Tom Hughes with Hughes Environmental Consulting. I'm here on behalf of Tom Ryan for the property at 49 Northern Boulevard. If it's okay with you, I'd like to share the screen.
Certainly.
Okay, so actually, let me just. All right, so this is the property here. This is Mr. Ryan's property. This property belongs to Paul Novak. So a copy of this RDA was sent to Mr. Novak, and one of the things that it's a nuance of Wetland Protection Act permitting that some of you are aware of and some of you may not be is on a RDA. You only have to send a copy of the filing to the property owner. You don't have to have them sign it. So that's just the beauty of doing an RDA on a smaller encroachment project like this. Mr. Novak's fully aware of it. He's signed for it. He's got a copy, but we don't have to have him sign it, and we don't have to file something against the Registry of Deeds on his property to remove an encroachment, which seems a little counterintuitive, right? You want to take an encroachment off somebody's property, you wouldn't want them to have to sign to have a lien put on the deed while you do it. So that's a large, both, I think it qualifies as an RDA, but that's also a large driver in filing an RDA on this. So this is the property here. You can see the existing structure. You can see this edge of deck, and basically the property line kind of cuts through here. So this gets removed and brought around to the front. A portion of the building's in the VE 17, a portion of it is I believe out, and might be a little AE 13 in there. But this is the area. So we've got this deck encroaching right here, and we plan on moving it around to the front. This is an area of gravel. This property basically has the building and then just has an awful lot of gravel parking around it. There's not really any risk for vegetative impacts, plenty of areas. We have a, place to put a dumpster right here, contractor parking, there's plenty of room for it. So I really see this as minimal. They'll be removing as carefully as possible the deck for Mr. Novak's property, and obviously they would have to restore any vegetative impacts that occurred during that, but I don't see much risk of that getting out of hand.
Am I able to speak?
Yeah, what is Tom, are you? Tom,
Yeah,
are you-
that's pretty much it.
Okay,
yeah,
why
Tom, if
don't
there's anything you wanna
why
add.
don't I do this, Tom? Let me see if the members have questions, and either one of you could answer those. Would that be acceptable?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right, team. I think Tom's given us a good job. This came before us, Sam. Didn't we get a preview of this a few meetings ago?
Yeah.
We did, yeah, it was it came in under an administrative item,
Right.
just looking for some guidance on how to proceed. Originally, Mr. Ryan was hoping to get approval to do some temporary work, and then come in for an after the fact filing. But unfortunately, it didn't qualify for like an emergency certificate.
All right, thank you, Sam. Pete, why don't I start with you? Any questions for Tom Hughes on this project?
No, it looks like a good resolution, especially if there's cooperation with the abutter.
Thank you, Pete. Brad, any questions for Tom on this project?
Yeah, my understanding is this is already under building permit. They're renovating this. It looks like they're turning it into a, or maybe it was already, I don't know, a legal two-family. So I've seen that dumpster already there under the building permit. So there's nothing going to be different than what they're already doing today, right?
Correct.
Okay, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. TJ, any questions on this one for Tom Hughes?
No questions.
Okay, Diane, do you have any questions?
I just had a question about, I guess it's Mr. Novak. He doesn't need to sign the application, right? Even though the work is, some of it's being done on his land?
Yeah, that is, first of all, Mr. Novak, obviously made Mr. Ryan aware of the encroachment and asked for him to fix this. And so what this is you still need permission from a landowner before you can work on their property. I mean, you can't hostily go over there and remove it. But it just means that we don't have to involve the Conservation Commission in that permission process.
Okay, so now I just didn't know if the landowners, any landowners that were involved, if they needed to sign the RDA or not.
Yeah,
But I
no,
guess you're
only,
saying not.
no, I mean, that's the thing with an RDA. You can file a hostile RDA on somebody else's property. It's not done very often, but you can do it. You just have to provide them with a copy of it. And, you know, but in this case, it's just a way of, you know, saying to Mr. Novak, look, we'll get the encroachment off your property, but we're also not going to encumber your property temporarily with the lien of an order of conditions. And I think that's the friendliest way to get something off somebody else's property, is to not give them a burden while you do it.
Okay, I wasn't sure the answer, because he's not really in a butter. He's actually, some of the work is being done on his land, so.
Right, no, that's true. But as I said, I mean, I could file an RDA on your property for something. I don't know why, you know, it's probably not even jurisdictional, but I could do it. I just need to give you a copy of it. It's just not done very often that way, but there are times when, especially on resource is an area jurisdictional, there are times when neighbors will file an RDA on another neighbor who's violating, and a Conservation Commission is not paying attention.
No, like Mike, you had mentioned, you know, if any restoration needed to be done or anything, but if it needs to be done, who do we enforce that upon?
Well, it would be, first of all, any restoration on Mr. Novak's property, you know, the plan is to get the deck out of there and leave the footprint of the deck to Mr. Novak's satisfaction, whether he wants it planted or not. We can't, you know, if he doesn't want it planted, it's not vegetated now, so there's no adverse effect from that. Any vegetation that we damage, we'll have to restore. And it's on Mr. Ryan to do that. Obviously, if, you know, if it gets complicated, we'd have to come back to you with some kind of alternate resolution if Mr. Novak would not let us do plantings. But I think there's room on this property that we certainly could resolve something if we had to, through a sort of a friendly enforcement of the RDA.
Okay.
Anything else, Dan?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so Tom, just to recap, there's no vegetation under the deck that's encroaching onto the Novak property.
Right, exactly.
Okay, so we're not going to be damaging any vegetation because it's non-existent.
Right.
And I'm assuming, what are the what is it? Are they on sonotubes, or what are they? Are they on those diamond piers?
Tom would know for sure. I think it's sonotubes under the existing deck. Is that accurate, Tom?
There's actually sonotubes on two of them. One of them is just sitting on the ground, and the other one is sitting on several 2x12s that are failing. And on that far corner of the deck, on the back right side of the property, the deck is dropped about maybe an inch to an inch and a half, which, I mean, this is not just an abutment situation, it's a safety situation. It was gonna have to be addressed. And just for the board's sake, just so you all know, that area that I'm looking to move the deck over to, you know, along the vinyl fence there, that needs to be replaced coming off the side of the house in that back corner because it's failing. So everything is both, it's improvement, property improvement, it's getting along with the abutter and trying to appease his needs. And it's also a safety issue. Everything is, you know, for one reason or another warranted here.
Well, thank you, Tom. You know what, it's refreshing to see a neighborhood talking to themselves, resolving matters like this. So I guess the only question I have is on the removal of the existing sonotubes. Those just going to, we're not talking about bringing equipment onto the site, are we? I don't.
There's no need for equipment.
Okay. So it's all handwork.
I don't see any sonotubes. When you're back there, it looks like the 6x6 posts are sitting on ground, dirt, rock. There are sonotubes along where the vinyl fence is that I believe I can use for what I'm trying to replace and have go off to the side. As far as the 4 or so sonotubes I'm looking to put on the back of the property where I'm cutting the deck back to, It's all gravel. It's all gravel and sand. There's nothing back there. There's no vegetation. I think in a couple spots, there's some kind of bamboo weed that pops up here and there, but it's nothing that's protected.
Yeah, no, my question was if there were any type of footings that needed to be removed on the demolition.
They'll be dug out, thrown in a dumpster, but I'm
Okay,
90% sure there's nothing there.
okay. And what type of footings are you trying to reuse? Existing footings? On the
exist-
fences?
As they're over the property line, I was hoping to just put in 12-inch sonotubes, 4 of them along the property line out back.
Okay,
And no, it's all sand, so, this is wetlands out here, whether you're 3 feet or 4 feet down, it doesn't really make a difference because everything gets wet and lifts and drops. So it will be done to code, but I'm working with what I have to work with back there.
so Tom Hughes, typically the commission wants the diamond, are they diamond piers?
Yeah, well, first of all, I understand the commission's thought, this would be a suitable location if you're going to use diamond piers. And it's a suitable application. I do want the commission to be aware, diamond piers are not something that are great in the velocity zone area. This portion of it is sort of behind the V zone, but they're subject to scour, et cetera. I think this is really up to whether typically what the commission has done in the past. They used to allow sonotubes when the building inspector allowed them, and where the building inspector will allow them is far more limited now. Because they're essentially like a shallow pile. You're not supposed to use footings under the code. There are some places, I think egress, where the building inspector may have some latitude. So we could look at swapping those out with diamond piers. Tom, have you used those before?
I have not, but my form has, he says there's nothing to them. They're maybe $150 a piece, and it's just an install thing that we can do, no problem. I haven't done it personally, but my foreman has, and he's been around the block for a while.
Right.
So
The only time that they're not a great idea is if you have a lot of sand movement, because they can get, essentially the sand can move out from underneath them, and then they lose some of their stability.
that was one of the reasons why from the beginning of this, we wanted to stay with sonotubes, because everything back there is sand and gravel. There's not much around this house that's not.
Yeah, I think would the commission be amenable to it'll be supported by whatever foundation type the building inspector approves. I mean, in those lines, or do you want us to go with diamond piers? What's your thought?
Well, I know if Mary was here, we'd be talking diamond piers. The sonotubes have not been at the commission's first choice or choice at all. And Sam, why don't you chime in on this?
So something else that we've also approved in the past is
Helical.
driven helical piles, but I don't really think this is a really appropriate use for helical piles. Those are a little more for like smaller structures as opposed to like a full-size deck. But we have in the past approved having just like pressure treated wood pilings. I know we've done it in the past for like generator platforms and stuff that they've just kind of dug out and placed like 4 feet worth of wood underground and then put everything on top of it.
So given that, Mr. Chairman, how about I offer a condition that is that the deck shall be supported with either helical piles, diamond piers, or shallow wooden piles, based on approval of the building inspector.
Hey, let me go around. I see some hands up. Brad, you have a question on this one?
Yes, I do, Mr. Chair, and it's more for Samantha. And it goes back to not the pile issue, but on the taking down of the deck. Sam, as Mr. Hughes mentioned, that he could put in an RDA to take down a deck that is on non-conforming, encroaching on someone else's property. What if it was the adverse to that or the reverse to that? If the neighbor then suggested that he wanted that deck removed rather than the owner of the deck saying he was going to remove it, such that the neighbor whose property that deck is encroaching on demanded that that deck be removed. Could an RDA be filed for that?
I think actually my understanding is that it's a little bit of both is currently what the situation is. That the Mr. Novak is the owner of the abutting property. And I believe wanted for some time for that deck encroachment to be removed. And Mr. Ryan is the first owner who has taken the initiative to do that.
So you kind of partially answered my question, but could Mr. Novak could have he filed the RDA to have that deck removed on the previous owner who may not have been amicable to have that deck removed?
Can I try to answer that?
Yeah, well,
Sure,
hang on.
Tom.
No, please. Everyone goes through the chair here. Brad, I think you've raised more of a legal question than a wetland question.
Yeah. I
Okay.
think
All
that's a
right,
little,
and I would think that the neighbors have reached an agreement. An RDA is a permit saying you don't need a permit to do the work. I mean, to translate it.
Yeah,
Would-
I
would-
understand. I understand, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, it's an interesting question. Would it be calibrated like the tree hanging over your property? Do you get to do what you want with that tree that's on your property? But that's not what's before us tonight.
Got it. Thank
Okay.
you, Mr. Chair.
All right, and so Tom Hughes has suggested he was going to put down 3 options for support of the relocated deck square footage. Tom, one other question. The deck that's being removed in the square footage versus the relocation and new deck, what is the square footage comparison on the?
I don't know that I have that number handy, but if you give me 1 second, I have to move you guys out of the way. Hold on a second.
Because you're not showing where the new deck is going, are you?
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
tan area.
Oh, just that small little thing on the left-hand side there?
Yeah, yep. You
Okay,
can see
alright.
clearly that it's smaller just from
Oh,
the-
yeah. Forget my
Um,
question. No, forget my,
All right, so 1.81,
reason.
I'm off a little bit. It's about 180 square feet, and this is gonna be probably, I'm guessing 120 to 140.
okay. Nope, that's fine. Tom Ryan,
Yeah,
I know
100.
I know you have a question for me. Let me see if we have any questions, any additional questions from the members, and that either one of you can answer. Then I would suggest if there's no questions, let us move forward and make a determination on that. Okay, Pete, any further questions on this or any concerns in your file?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Okay, Brad Duffin, any concerns?
No, I'm good, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Diane, any concerns or questions? Okay, TJ, any concerns or questions?
Just a question. Are there stairs coming down from that deck?
Yes,
Okay, that's what I'm looking at in the middle. So most of that deck is stairs or,
most of the deck is stairs. There'll be an area above that's not, and an area below stairs that aren't, but they're necessary as a secondary means of egress. And I
Right.
want to say something if I may. I didn't want to back down. I'm doing this to save a lot of aggravation and trouble, neighbors, town and everything.
Understood, Tom.
Trying to be compliant and a good neighbor. It's taking its time on me, so I'm trying to move along with this.
No, thank you, Tom.
Thank
All
you.
right. Team, is there any raised hands, Sam, from the public?
besides Mr. Ryan, who I assume is probably just a lingering raised hand. There is nobody else.
Okay. All right, any further questions from the members? Okay,
No.
hearing none, is there a motion to issue a negative determination for 49 Northern Boulevard?
So moved.
Hey, do we have a second on that motion?
Second,
Okay. Okay, roll call vote. All in favor of this work excuse me. All in favor of a negative determination for 49 Northern Boulevard, say aye. TJ,
aye,
Pete,
Yes.
Brad,
Aye.
Diane,
Yes,
and Bob Connors votes yes. Thanks, Tom.
Yeah, thank you very much. Have a great night.
Okay.
Thank you.
Next agenda item is 1719 10th Street. Sam, did we get a file number on this one? I didn't see it earlier when I looked it up.
We do not have a file number for it yet, but we do have the application is at this point complete. And I think since the applicant and his representative or their representative is here, I think it's still worth it to at least get the quick and dirty version, I guess, of the discussion, since it's been advertised and everything, just to get that out of the way and then continue it until we have the file number.
Okay, Sam, why don't you give us a quick overview on this one, if you would?
All right, so this is for, 1 second. Can you guys see that?
yes.
Yes.
So this is for the demolition and reconstruction of an existing two-family structure. And the rebuild is going to be up on pilings. It is going to be reconstructed as a two-family structure again. This has gone through zoning. Actually, I believe it went through zoning sometime last year. It's been done for a while, and they did get their approval for this through them. So they are going to be doing, they're going to remove the structure, rebuild it pretty much in the exact same area. And then there's going to be some site work that's going to be done, some patios and other areas around, little walkways and stuff are going to be removed. It is overall going to be a pretty, the overall footprint and impact appears to be less than what is currently existing. What's going to be the final end result. And I think there was nothing in it really that raised any red flags for me. And I haven't heard anything. I know Mary's not here. I haven't gotten any comments back from her about it. But I'm sure she would provide them during the next hearing if there were any.
Is there a table showing existing versus proposed on existing walkways and?
Yes.
Okay, let's just,
I believe that's these two right here.
okay.
So my general understanding, so it's going to be about the same.
Yeah, no net change.
Right, yeah. But different, some things are going to be a little bit expanded, some things are going to be, the total vegetation area is actually increasing, open stand areas increasing. So there's some things that are increasing, some things that are decreasing, but it's overall, it does appear to be an increase in, or a decrease in impervious surface, I guess.
Okay. All right, Doug, are you going to make the presentation tonight?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I will be brief, however. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Douglas DeShane with Finner and Nicholson, representing Kevin and Lisa Barlow. Kevin is here with us this evening. I believe I saw him. As Samantha said, the Barlows are proposing to raise the existing two-family home and to build a new two-family home in its place. We have received all the necessary permits from the Zoning Board of Appeals in that we were able to show that the proposed development is actually not detrimental or not significantly detrimental to the overall neighborhood. And I do believe too, as was mentioned, I think with respect to impacts, we are also reducing impacts to the lot itself. If I could just go back to that chart, Sam, that you guys were talking about earlier. It is true. In fact, when you said there was no net change, there is no net change to the size of the lot, that 13.5. But what this chart shows us is the specific surface changes that we will be making. And the biggest addition, if you will be the fact that we are adding about 800 square feet to the footprint of the building. And we are adding about 46 square feet of wood walkways and patios. However, to offset that, we are reducing, and technically, as stated on the plan, we are removing all existing concrete pavers, concrete walls, wood patios, walkways, and ramps. They're all going to be removed. And we're going to add in a very limited number of walkways. And those will be done. We're going to do, so again, increasing the footprint by 800 square feet, increasing the wood walkways and patios by about 46 square feet. But we are reducing wood decks and steps by 125 feet. As I said, concrete walls, concrete steps, and patios, we're reducing by 1,550 feet. We're actually removing a lot of concrete and impervious patio. We are going to replace those patios with permeable pavers. There's about 300 square feet of permeable pavers proposed. We are also generally cleaning up the site. Our engineer identified a number of debris piles, which appear to be old wood, some, vegetation, just kind of piles that have been there for many, many years. There's about 223 square feet of those. We're cleaning those up completely, and to the extent necessary, we can revegetate those areas with some grasses or other plants the board might want. We are in fact proposing to increase vegetated areas by just under 400 square feet. So overall, the vegetated area is going to go from 5,179 square feet to about 5,658 square feet. So I think especially with putting the new home up on piling so that we can address floodwaters and also allow for movement of sand, which is not happening today due to the foundation. Although they're building a slightly bigger house, I think they're making some really great improvements to the overall site with respect to, environmental impacts by addressing the flooding and the sand movement, but also by removing a significant amount of impervious surface. I mean, there's just a lot of old concrete and concrete walls and pavers out there that are all going to be removed. As you can see from the plan, we do have a significant area in the front of the house where the proposed gravel driveway is. It's up there, right there to the upper right corner. It says proposed stone drive. We've got area there to existing area now on the stone drive to put our trucks and equipment and various staging materials. And as you can see, we're proposing to put the dumpster up there on that green area, which we're removing impervious surface from. And then once the house comes down, that stone driveway will, as you can see, will be far expanded, and we'll be able to store materials, stage materials there, and again, park there, and the dumpster will stay where it is. So I don't see any possibility, of having any parking problems or any debris removal problems. Or for that matter, staging, where we're gonna put the materials that we'll use to build the new house will be placed in this that front area once the house comes down. So I think we have that covered. So with that, I do know we have not received a file number from DEP, but in talking with Samantha, we thought it would be good to come in to give the board an overview of what's going on, answer any questions you have, and of course, if you have any questions that I can't answer, we now have a couple of weeks to that I can get any additional information or details that the board would like to see.
Okay, thank you, Doug. Doug, typically, when we don't have a file number because we cannot take final action
Right?
on your application, we typically don't entertain questions from the members, simply as a time mechanism for those behind a project like this. Where you're the only agenda item remaining, I'm going to just ask the board, what's your pleasure, team? Do you want to ask some questions on this and give the applicant some insight on any potential questions? Or do we want to wait for the technical comments to come in with the file number from DEP?
I mean, I looked at it, but I'm not exactly, since we didn't have the file number, I didn't go through it
Yeah,
very
That-
well.
I walked the site, Mr. Chair. This seems very straightforward. It seems like a project that benefits the town.
okay, thank you, Brett. Pete, what's your thought on this?
Yeah, I would hold on conversation at this time.
Okay. All right, I mean, Doug, I think you have a very detailed plan here. The gain versus what you're reducing, I think presents a pretty clear picture. Obviously, it's going to be what technical questions may get raised from DEP when they issue the file number. And then certainly when Mary Rimmer is attending, we'll be able to get some feedback from her. Diane, any comments you want to add before we entertain a motion?
No?
Okay.
Can I just add
Yeah,
one?
yeah, certainly, Sam. Yes, certainly, Sam.
thing?
Sorry.
I just wanted to note, because I definitely didn't mention it and I didn't hear Doug mention it. This property is actually not in the floodplain. I believe the whole property is a very small portion of it might be in floodplain, but I believe the majority of it is in zone X.
Okay.
So I just wanted to note that in case there are any questions about, because I don't think the pilings are up very high.
Oh.
I think are they just at 2 feet?
Let me check. I have the profiles.
Yeah, if there's an elevation on this,
Yeah, the plan set has the proposed elevations of the existing grade. So the bottom trim skirting bottom 23. There's the benefit of not having it, the downside of not having an engineer. But there is a one of the plans attached to the plan set is in fact the elevation of the pilings themselves, very detailed. Oh, there it is. Sorry, sideways.
Okay, yeah, so it's,
okay.
this is a little blurry.
Yeah, but
Yeah, it's like it's just about 2 feet in part of it.
and then the garage is taller to accommodate the drive under.
Yeah. So I just wanted to make sure that got noted in case there were any concerns about the very low elevation.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you,
Thanks, Sam.
Okay, so Doug, obviously we can't take any further action on this. You're going to request a continuance to the, what is it, our June 26th meeting or June 20th meeting?
Okay,
Motion to continue?
Yeah, motion to
Second.
continue to June 20th. Okay, roll call vote. All those in favor? TJ,
Aye.
Pete,
Yes.
Brad,
Aye.
Diane,
Yes.
and Bob Connors votes yes. Thank you, Doug. Hopefully you guys get your file number.
Thank you very much. Look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks. Take care.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, Sam, I think that clears the agenda except for the administration part of the meeting.
Yes.
All right. So you had a discussion regarding the town Newbury dock and pier policy. I'm assuming that is the AC,
Correct. Yeah.
ACEC dock and pier policy the town adopted.
Yep, and that actually, I was asking Mary some questions about docks. There were a couple properties that went up for sale recently that had existing dock pilings, but no actual dock. So I was asking Mary a couple questions about that, and she had mentioned that that she was interested in revisiting that policy and possibly making some edits to it. I don't know 100% what she was looking at, and since she's not here, I think it would probably be better to table that discussion until our next meeting when she can be present to share her thoughts on that.
Okay, nope, I think that's sound advice. All right, team, why don't we go around and see if anyone has any other questions or comments before we entertain a motion to adjourn? Pete, any comments, questions you have?
All good.
Thanks, Pete. TJ, any questions or comments?
No, no comments.
Thank you. Diane, any questions or comments?
Nope.
And Brad, any questions or comments?
No, Mr. Chair, thank you.
Okay. Sam, anything else on your behalf before we move to adjourn?
Not that I can think of. I know we have the CSO release discussion is one of our permanent fixtures on the agenda. I did go to a couple weeks ago, I went to one of the 8 towns in the Great Marsh meetings. And I think, Bob, you had actually mentioned this at our last meeting, that there was some legislature in the works that was intended to address not just the notifications about CSO releases, but the actual releases themselves. And that was mentioned as well, that I believe the, oh my gosh, now I can't remember what the organization is called. Totally blanking on it. The Merrimack Valley Planning Commission is working on that, or they're representing part of that. So that is very exciting.
Excuse me, Sam, Mr. Chair, I think that it's also the Merrimack Valley Watershed Council too is engaged in that.
That's it. Right. I know that Senator Tar from our area and is it Representative Shan? Is she the state rep now that took over
She
for
is.
Mara? Okay. I know they're working together on that and with a funding source so they can actually address mitigating the problem rather than just, identifying when it's going to happen. All right, team, I have nothing else to offer. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Do we have a
Second.
second? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Pete,
Yes.
Brad,
Aye.
TJ,
Aye.
Diane,
Yes.
Bob Connors votes yes. Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
night. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Good night.